uh, uh, real, real quick, this is for my brother. 9 plus 10. It is a holiday. What's 9 plus 10? 21. You stupid.
Anyway, because I was just muted up my mic, I was just moving clothes from the washer to the dryer. That's all. Forgot that. Just a few minutes late, but anyway, let's us continue on, shall we?
Wait. Real quick. So chat, we can all be heard, right? We're all balanced out and all that good nonsense.
Pog.
You can hear me.
Pog. Yep. Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wait. Where did my desk go? My desk is gone.
We just moved in yesterday, remember?
Yeah,
True. Forgot about that. Alright. Made it again in one piece, just. To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished for a while.
Oh, I know, with a lot of close shaves. There are so many carriages on the streets of London. You're very nearly flattened several times.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you.
Oh, thank you.
And now that your favorite expert has won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can find any new clues for the court tomorrow.
Yes, let's do that.
Is everything alright?
I suppose. I still can't quite believe it, that's all. I'm here in England, working as a lawyer, I mean. In the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma.
It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him.
Yes, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him.
And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I have no doubt that Kazuma-san would say the exact same thing if you were here with us.
Thank you, Sazan. Thank you. Okay. Now, most importantly, because I see it right there.
Do it!
If the customer will let me, there we go. Perhaps we should put this spade away somewhere.
That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
They both do the same thing!
No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose materials. It's a shovel.
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You're so right, Naruhodo-san. You must have corrosed stripes.
On reflection, then, I'll leave this spade where it is.
Yes, I think that's for the best. You may need a shovel to where we're working in the garden.
There we go, y'all happy?
But that is such, that ending to that conversation is such like subtweet energy.
I can't examine this and it makes me sad.
The true W is when we finally get to examine the ladder of this game.
Yeah.
No, wait. No, wait, Patrick. Go back. Go to present.
Oh my god.
Go to present. A badge. The armband. Now you got a dual tool.
You've been worried out ever since we arrived to Great Britain, haven't you?
Just imagine Naruto in the had to do it to the bones again.
you know I had to do it to him.
Brandon, no, I have not seen that trailer because after the last Metroid Dread trailer, I am staying the hell away at this point because they showed way too much last time. Also, just as a heads up, if you guys see a username of like Haas and a bunch of numbers, please let us know, like, immediately, because, right as I went live, those have been the accounts that have been, like, linked to the hate raids happening on, Twitch and stuff like that. And I had, like, 3 of those follow me right as I went live. I blocked all of them, but, like, just as a heads up, like, let us know immediately if you guys see that. But, yeah. Well, it shows that I'm a lawyer, so it seems appropriate.
I'm not sure that really means much in this country, though, I'm afraid.
I wouldn't say that. It might not be official, but it looks official. Often when the police stop me, I just show them this and they leave me alone.
You're stopped by the police? Often.
Well, you know, I'm a suspicious foreigner, dressed in all black with a sword at my side.
I do think it's probably the sword that's the main reason. Still, it makes me happy to see you wearing it. And the armband.
Yes, I made up my mind I'll carry them always, the symbol of who I am. And the sword, Kurama.
This is who I am!
I think it's still pronounced as karma, just with the extra vowel.
Okay, yeah.
I also know if you examine the badge, it still says Kazuma in the armband, so yeah.
Oh,
He's still wearing his dead friend's badge.
Alright, visiting call.
In a little bit, I will have to get just to take the fish out of the oven, just so that you know.
Should we say hello to Sherlock?
Okay, alright. Well, head downstairs then.
Oh, Runo and Susie, hooray, you're back! Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am, and you do look immaculately present as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you could have come out at a better time. I just made a spot of tea. I'll get some cups.
Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what's that foul smell?
Ah, there he is. My husbando. He's right there on the screen. Wait, okay, hang on.
Okay, I think he's grabbing that fish, so I'll do.
No, I'm trying to,
remember your voice?
remember my voice. I'll probably remember it as I go along. Aha! The Wanderers return at last. Where on earth have the pair of you been? I found it again.
You've been in court?
Oh! For Mr. Massachusetts case, that was today, was it?
I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go?
Reasonably well so far. We managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least.
Really? I would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long.
Is Lord Van Zeeks an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes?
Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Dalahodo.
Not quite what I asked, but still.
Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor?
Yes, what is that? It's faint, but absolutely awful.
It's my Chad energy. Ah, indeed. Thus the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science.
Oh dear.
Alright, I'll bite. What is he up to now?
Alright, let me go take my fish out of the oven because I heard it beep.
Alright, I'll take over for Sholmes in the meantime. Lord Van Zeeks, yes, it's an interesting subsequent he has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for some conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the court, sooner or later that hapless soul will vanish from the capital. But vanish how exactly? By falling under a spanning carriage or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or quite out of the blue, being sent on upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes, the one's final to Munus, my dear fellow. It all seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Mustache is fighting fit for the time being, at least. It's not...
I'm back.
Alright, that's not overly reassuring.
If the rumors are true, though, it's the obvious conclusion.
He invented Axe body spray. Oh, dear God. No. No.
Would surely be those acquitted are, well, by Lord Van Seek's own hands.
As it happens, Miss Susanoo, that is quite impossible.
Oh, why?
Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast iron alibi.
Really?
And so his reign continued, but 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you routed the country, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived when I was thrust into the trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death condensed with the Reaper's resurrection. And really did it bitterly end. Indeed.
And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again.
For like the third time now.
Poor Runo. I don't know if just incredibly unlucky. Or incredibly unlikable.
I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people.
Oh no, he's a racist.
Oh no, oh god. This is gonna stop this game from being localized, isn't it? So, what is that indescribably foul smell?
I call it allspice! Well, most probably this, I would say.
What is that?
My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention! A chemical test that can identify whether or not the tea is genuine at the drop of some tea.
Oh my.
There are some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but is, in fact, merely dyed leaves a drab flavor.
Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior.
So, when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris!
Oh. At the ready, Hurley.
Let us add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens?
I'm about to expose Arnold Palmer for the little piece of shit that he is. It's turned completely black.
And what a foul odor it's giving off.
Indeed, the blacker the tea becomes, the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was particularly fine. Darjeeling.
That's very ingenious, but what do you do with the black liquid now?
Why, dispose of it, naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you?
There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new inventions, Mr. Sholmes.
Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madame.
Right.
The point is, we are entering a new era of science, in the world of criminal investigation also.
Yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times.
Man, only Emma was here. Only Emma was born. I regularly engage in this scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. I get through that with one breath. The Herlock-Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative technique is based. This little tea
Indicate.
This little tea indicate was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research.
Forensic science? But I suppose I should find out more about that. So, Herlock Sholmes, can you tell me about Japanese people? Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well as Miss Susato and myself, I felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Van Zeke seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese.
Indeed. It is an interesting observation. It is an
Do you know something about it?
indeed.
Do you, Mr. Sholmes?
He's racist. Well, he's racist, but what do you want? It was about 10 years ago that Baruch von Zeke chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closet companion,
Closet, come on.
closet companion, hailed from the Empire of Japan.
Oh, him and me aren't very different now, are we? Okay, I see.
He truly is a gay lawyer compatriot.
No.
What the? Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes. What happened?
I believe I made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about the affair.
Oh, but
This dialogue changes drastically with that one little slip up right now.
Oh my.
The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt.
Maybe in case 3, 4, 5, you know, we still got a lot of this game to go left.
For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe.
You fool, you thought I was gonna give you the entire plot right now.
So, your teeth test, is that an example of forensic science?
Indeed it is! An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge of whether some tea is high or inferior quality.
Excuse me. Not a huge number of cases, then.
Perhaps a more practical example is required. Fingerprint? Not yet accepted in our course as evidence, I might add. Really, we are dragging our heels there.
I haven't even heard of them until recently.
Which is partially why I undertake research in this field myself, of course.
does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes?
There are others in that field already, and I abhor the ability of inferior minds. So why do you keep Naohodo around? No, what I am researching is skin prints.
Skin prints?
A noble culture of my own design, as this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whichever person is under investigation.
Really, Mr. Sholmes?
As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black.
I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed.
This one makes Iris look really fucking tall on this one.
She's standing on a box right now.
Yeah, I guess. Sure. Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues.
That's the spirit, Bruno. See you later.
Yeah, I like this shot. Look at them. Look at them.
Aww.
Yes, until later.
No, Mr. Schultz, we were thinking you would come with us.
You were?
Yes, of course! You said so just a minute ago! You said we'd witness your forensic talents in action!
Ah, yes, I do recall saying something along those lines. But you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later. In all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might.
Your commitment astounds me.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Shelms. We eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Runo. Bye-bye, Susie. I got work to do.
I have to make
Yeah,
a whole new batch of tea because someone decided to turn it all black!
Listen, I got commissions to draw.
Actually, we should check on Miss Green real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
I would say at this point, I would just say like every time you go back to that screen, just go down the line.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh.
What do you suppose is happening? It sounds like some sort of disturbance.
Yeah, I hear angry voices. Oh, fine.
Be not angry, O ample lady. Verily, thou art mistaken.
Mistaken my foot. You're looking at my painting.
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. 'Twas foul indeed, the poison that mustache villain gaveth me. Forgive me, lady.
I wish you died from that poison.
God of mercy, ample lady, but thou ceased. I have vigor still. Behold, my champagne dance.
Are you trying to assert dominance?
I mean, he's doing it so far.
This looks rather ominous, doesn't it?
There's a lot to unpack from this screenshot.
Just record this entire bit.
In fact, you know, if I just go into here and just.
Oh, that's perfect. That's a perfect time.
Yes.
Then there we go. All right. Oh God.
That fucking smile.
No, 'tis a lawyer from the land which riseth the sun. How now?
What are you doing here, Mr. Shakespeare?
Mary, I do believe I am returned unto another ward.
He was looking. That's what he's doing. He was looking at my terrible work.
Is a fellow so darky clad? Faith, thy work in court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee.
Oh, well, thank you.
But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it?
Oh.
Anon, what?
I was kind of waiting for him to just walk to the left and out of the frame. Just go like politician on that kind of deal. Mr. Shakespeare might technically be the victim in this case, but there's definitely a lot more to it than that. It's very hard to pin that man down.
I'm so sorry. I'm such an awful person.
Miss Green, is everything alright?
I got Shakespeare dance. It's alright.
This man came in here and tried to take my artwork and upload it to his Twitter account and take the credit for it. I caught him in the act.
He would. Yeah.
They're about to discharge me, so I must get ready to leave now.
Oh,
He was
I
also
see.
going to put it on He was also going to post it on Instagram, thinking I don't have that account. I don't have that either.
We're delighted that you seem to be well enough to go home, Miss Green. Oh dear, you're too kind. I don't deserve it.
Brandon, that is Master Splinter, and you will respect him.
Look at her dangling her wee little legs on the bed.
She's just sitting diligently.
Can I examine the rat?
We already did,
I already did
yeah.
that once. Okay.
Wait, what about the bag? Wait, no, wait. Before you move, you can examine the bag, actually.
The bag? Alright.
That must be the bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though.
I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and...
Bruh, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. I want my snacks!
Wait, not evidence snacks.
Yes! Yes, I was promised butter and no, it was soap! I am famished!
Naruhodo, I can't get the milk yet. We're in the middle of a case.
That's what my dad said to me and he never came back with it. Oh! Hello again, Inspector Gregson!
What are you buying?
Hopefully your fish chips? I really want snacks right now, please. I'm starving right now.
What are you doing here?
Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually.
That lawyer is representing the defendant that has the right to examine the scene, so I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I know the score.
Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside the window. Did you find it? Was there tea in it?
Yeah, we found it alright. There was a small amount of tea in it, as you said.
I knew it!
It's with the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Pretty impressive performance in court this morning.
Sorry?
Nothing. Forget it. Just make sure you don't disturb anything in here. Oh, yeah,
just popped into the frame and then he was there.
Gregson looking at the right.
I'm sorry, I had to do it to him.
I looked to my right and I didn't even notice he was there. I just went, hang on.
Yeah, let me grab that.
I had to do it to him.
You know we're saving here for last, right?
Of course.
Are you looking for new clues, Inspector?
On Lord Van Zink's orders, yeah. Don't come back till you got something for me, he says.
Oh dear, poor you.
Yeah, poor me, because we've already searched every bleeding nook and cranny in this place. I don't know what he expects, to be honest. Thank goodness for warm chips, is all I can say.
Well, at least he's honest. Oh no. Okay, this one.
Oh god damn it.
That's what I was talking about. Okay, hold on. Block it. God damn it.
Oh god!
Okay, block. Okay. At least from my pull-down window, I can easily block them, so...
I was also gonna say, at least you get the notification about them.
Yeah.
They can't just secretly do it to you.
Yeah. Hey. Mr. Schultz, what are you doing over there?
Okay, hang on, here we go. What a question indeed! Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Oi! What are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to there? Up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me, what's a great detective? What is always under scrutiny, it seems.
Is it now the time, Mr. Sholmes? Are you about to show us your forensic talent in action as you promised?
With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madame. Well, Brandon, I talk to myself a lot at work, actually. Because I think out loud.
What's all this?
All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Sherlock Holmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim.
A sample from Mr. Shakespeare's cup?
Each individual leaves microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secretions is all I need to produce this, of a fine indicator solution. By liberally spraying the room with this chemical, everything the victim touched is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them on. There. Now, spray the chemical indicator about it all will be revealed.
Spray? How do I exactly do that?
Pull the trigger. Like this!
What is this stuff? It's like fog.
A suspicion of the chemical indicator pressurized gas. It's the most efficient way to cover a large area. That was another invention I discovered, incidentally, whilst I was developing this idea.
As you do.
Go ahead, try it, my dear fellow. We may learn something interesting.
Well, there's nothing, I suppose. Let's explore.
Spray.
Pull the trigger, Ryunosuke. No, Patrick, I think just go crazy with it.
Oh, look at it all here.
Ah, yes, interesting. A multitude of the victim's handprints.
Why are there so many of them on the floor on this one spot?
Oh, perhaps he had a bad fall just here?
There's nothing obvious that he would tripped over, though, is there?
I wonder. Oh, it looks like Yellow Apocalypse is also playing the Great Ace Attorney.
Oh, neat.
Nice.
Personally, I'll have to stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over.
I think that's something only the great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes.
Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor.
Yes, there's no obvious explanation.
Oh no, the perfume department!
I always hate going in there!
But yeah, Patrick, go crazy. Just
Yeah.
Go crazy.
Whoosh.
Trying to think of what I haven't gotten at this point, because I think I've gotten... Oh, there we go! Look, there's dozens of handprints here!
So there are! A great many indeed! So much so that it's hard to make out any one individual print, in fact.
It sends chills down my spines.
Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired his photo?
Unlikely, I would say. It's a rather dull scene, after all.
And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally be admiring a picture from such close quarters, I believe.
Oh, very true, Mr. Sato. It's a bit of a mystery, then.
Yo, look at this meme.
Well, he sprayed Mr. Sholm's amazing skin print indicator all over this room, didn't we?
We did, but there are 2 places in particular that are of interest, I would say.
I can't believe I allowed you guys to do that to my crime scene. Like,
The handprints on the floor there. On the wall by the picture, you mean?
We didn't damage any property. Yes.
You spray some sort of weird gas on the floor and on the painting. How am I not supposed to find this weird?
You got something against gas, Mr.
You already
Director?
searched all of it, you said, from top to bottom, so you wouldn't mind.
Yes, and I think the floor were in closer expansion. Won't be a moment.
Tell that to the prosecutor who rides my butt.
That must be very uncomfortable with the kimono.
What is it, Susanoo?
Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards have popped out.
One of the... You mean... It's a secret hiding place?
What? Excellent work, Miss Susanoo. So, what do we have here? What do we have in here? Oi! What are you lot doing?
Inspector Gregson!
Stand aside right this minute. It's my job to investigate that. No need, Inspector. To dig into your portion of chips, why don't we dig around under the floor here? Your fancy talking putting me up my food anyway, Sholmes. A new bit of evidence is exactly what I need.
Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find!
It's not a hiding place you can make use in Japan. I don't think we can lift the straw tab on that.
No, I know, but I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering, what about the wall over there too? Are you curious?
Look at Susanoo's face back then when she was bending over like...
Ooh. Oh? I'll investigate at once. Look at this photograph.
Every time it makes me laugh.
I don't get it. That's
There's
art.
nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall.
How disappointing.
But then, how do you explain the handprints?
I really can't think of why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that.
There you are. A print for you.
Oh, thank you very much! His invention can make prints too? Now then, I wonder...
Patrick, pull it up real quick. I don't actually remember if this also allows you. Yeah, it does. Okay. No, I was just trying to remember if this print is just the picture of the wall, or does it also have the handprints on it?
I would figure if it came from his device, then, you know, it would have the prints on. I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor there.
I'm desperate to know!
So am I!
You know what? Let's move. I'll have to know if there's anything hidden past the floorboard there.
Allow me to ask Gregson now. After all, we're well acquainted. Inspector Gregson? Really? It's been too long. What is this, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there, seeing as we're such good friends. We're not friends. No, I suppose not. A dismal failure.
Yes, I heard.
You know what? Not gonna lie, I like the other translation of that line better. When he comes back, he just goes, "I failed." All right then, fair is fair.
What?
You did discover the hidden place after all. I suppose I should at least fill you in.
Really, Inspector? Thank you!
Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it's that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Oi, stop making me out to be some kind of nut! There were 3 items under the floor there. A newspaper clipping, a photograph for printed, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? Looks like this was a Capcom paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving time up in Manchester.
How terrible.
It made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first.
Oh my goodness. He committed a capital offense?
Man by the name of Seldine. Nasty piece of work into burglaries and murder. They say the hood he knocked off was worth about £1,000.
A hoard? Treasure, you mean?
Jewelry and the like. But he hidden it somewhere, and no one knows where, and now he's dead.
Bad.
The papers loved it, of course. £1,000 lost en route to hell, or such was the headline. Doesn't that strike you, though? Why such an article would be so carefully
Enclosed. Const? We'll go with that.
Why such an article would be so incons under the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the paperwork we've got ourselves in the back of the yard and see if I can turn anything up. So, this is a photograph I found. Looks reasonably recent to me. Yes, it would appear to have been taken on the street in front of the house here.
The gentleman on the left is Mr. Garadev, the landlord, of course.
Who's the young man on the right? Mr. Garadeb's son, perhaps?
I feel like we've seen it before. Perhaps. You could take the print if you like.
Really? Are you sure?
We can presume, therefore, that the yard already knows. The identity of the young fellow, that is.
Is that true?
Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you, lot, leaking information isn't one of my pastimes. My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point something out, pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. All the more reason I'm not telling you! A dismissal failure.
Yes, I heard. I have one more to go. I wonder, why is a photograph like this hidden under the floor? I mean, Mr. Shakespeare himself isn't in it.
Photographic prints are still rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Garadev was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud president of it.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Is it a secret?
No, we already found that last time.
Now this tin box looks interesting, doesn't it? Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be the least surprised. Yeah, funny enough, I've already had a look. It's completely empty. What? Chef Shakespeare! Give us a clue, man!
So you just randomly changed accents halfway through that, okay.
Give us a clue, man!
My man!
Or man!
You didn't even have a chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box.
Yeah, thin air. It's empty, rather like how I feel inside. Is there nothing more to this box then? I wonder.
I'm dead inside.
Spilled like my life. What? Kitty!
Kitty! Oh, look! It's that lovely little kitty cat. What's its name?
It's a Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wahagi? You know, like Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. Wonder how he got there. Clever cat.
Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahai, here's something
Wagahai.
delicious I brought for you from the cat's meat man. Food.
Some good cat animations.
just the cat and him on the right.
He couldn't be happier now. Look.
Just hope we could bring some happiness to his owner, too.
Cat.
That's a cheeky little meow, Wagahai.
Oh, but you're so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever.
I think he may not appreciate it after a while, and we have an investigation to get back to.
Yes.
Anything?
Hey, what about the wall?
Yeah, let me check the wall. The sun never shines in this room thanks to that depressingly bricked up window.
Yet, with the amount of determination, you can always remove the bricks and set some soap outside, can't you?
That sounds like a very wise lesson, Miss Susato.
I'm trying to follow a life of crime, Mr. Naruhodo.
If you ran out of change, you wouldn't have any light, let alone heat. For the needy, London's winters can be very harsh.
That's true, but if you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change.
London's winters can be very harsh for the forgetful too, then. Frankly,
I got a burb again.
Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if Susato and I are going to make it into spring.
That's true, we don't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove.
Look how dark the stain on the floor is right underneath the meter here.
Yet from all the water dripping out after the ice coins melted, as you established in court this morning,
It's very large and obvious stain, isn't it?
Mr. Shanster must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose.
It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that. Alright, I think we're good here?
Da, 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 da.
So yeah, let's head back. Oh, I can't present. Okay, then, Mr. Gyaradev, then.
Mr. Gyaradev appears to be out.
Oh, well, I suppose we'll just have to come back later. Damn it!
I think now that you have the picture, you can go back to the hospital.
Well-
I think you gotta go to the prison.
Yeah, because I just tried going back to the hospital and it didn't give me a present at all.
Oh, okay.
Damn it!
Oh. Well, wait a minute.
Briar Road? Okay, you know what?
Did the There still must be something you haven't found
Okay,
yet.
then we'll come back here. Then. What? What? Is this stuff important? Okay. What's going? Okay.
Okay, we're in the middle of investigation, but let's go and rest up in our
Well,
room.
quite shocked earlier today, when the victim still turned up in the court to the stand.
I know.
Not only that, but finding out that he actually a barefaced gas thief as well.
Yes, that was certainly a surprise to us all. For a while, it seems as though everyone had quite forgotten about Seki-san's poisoning of the tea.
Careful with your phrasing, Susato-san. He didn't poison anything. And there's more to Mr. Shakespeare than we yet know. I'm sure of it.
Mr. Shakespeare certainly wasn't a noble, upsetting man everybody thought he was at first.
What's become of him, actually?
I was told that he'll be returning to the hospital where he received treatment. We just, yeah.
Which one was that? Yeah.
Let me see. Ah, yes, the St. Margaret,
Yeah.
You were there.
This is a flashback, I swear.
Okay. Is it the Cosmos Wishes one, maybe?
Let's try it.
Cosmos Sogi, the best friend I ever had, and a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon after that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up small enough. I'm sure no one will know.
Let's be gay lawyers together.
Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why'd you go through all the lengths to accompany you in Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind for a while since we got through that trial. That you really ought to go into law, to be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it, believe me, I guarantee it. But I never thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You'll have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world. The city is at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh, no. Never mind.
Naruhodo-san.
Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about Kazuma.
Yes, he's forever in my thoughts, too. Change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. That's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course.
Yes, that's right, but
Yes?
I do wonder if his intentions lay elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought just takes hold of me every now and then, that's all.
Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma's true intentions?
I mean this.
His katana?
I never expected to inherit this sword after Kazuma passed away, of course.
No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it.
When I have it at my side in court, I can feel as though it gives me courage.
Yes.
Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little something about the sword. Kurama? That's right, it's a prized sword passed down for the generations of the Asogi clan. A Japanese man's sword is the soul of Inosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Kurama guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels the wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important we have to do, Great Britain. Something you have to do? Yes. I appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through with you to the end. I knew you wouldn't let me down.
What do you mean by something very important that I have to do?
I hoped the answer to that question would become apparent as we arrived here, but as yet, I found not a single clue.
I see.
Okay.
After that very dramatic,
Okay, blah, 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 blah,
try checking the prison again.
Okay, yes, the stuff we know. Alright, now it'll let us go? There we go! we just needed the Cosmo recap!
Saseki-san, you good?
This man is about to start a musical number right now.
The Dear Evan Santos movie was horrible.
Oh, Mr. Natsume is back.
Sophie, we're gonna talk about that when we're done with this stream. Fucking hell. So yes, Mr. Natsume, hello?
I am a cat.
Sorry?
I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Herlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts, or trials, or Old Baileys. I am a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat.
Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality.
He already has, completely! So, what's your name? What? Okay, because I think some people might not be in musical theater and know how. Sophie was referring to the Dear Evan Hansen movie that's coming out based on the musical. Because, holy shit, some of the stuff we're hearing about that film is, driving me nuts. To put it lightly, It's very much in contention for this year's Cats, we'll put it like that.
You skipped over.
Oh, there's...
No, it was animation. Him doing his shaking. It was him doing his shaking with his eyes closed. Oh. As yet, I have no name.
Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought of his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring it back to reality.
Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume?
I am not a cat.
It worked! He's back from the real world.
We cured his depression.
What's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that! It's obvious! My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate!
Mr. Natsume, no. This morning proceedings in court prove that there's hope.
Yes. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but... The Reaper is omnipresent in court, in my lodgings! Here, there, everywhere!
What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss.
Oh, yes! Yes, we must! In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No! course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. But I just blocked those out! Then today, being in that courtroom was... It was the most moving experience of my life! Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire!
You're too kind.
Scotland Yard's found the remaining tea. Just WiiDude and analyze as we speak.
There's nothing wrong with that tea! They won't find a drop of poison in it! That's a... Solemn, swore, Suzuki, certainty!
Got him.
Tell me, did you drink the tea at the same time that night?
Oh yes, most definitely! Remember, drink tea while it's hot! I am going to hurt this man! Now, hold on, you better hold me back! I'm about to do it to him!
He said she
She's already in the pose to do it too! She's already in the bow pose, kinda!
Okay, so I'm gonna do a takedown at this moment right now.
Hey, yo, officer, over the cell, come on, bro. Just one takedown, that's all I need, just one.
If you guys want to go to stream right now.
What?
just one, come on. Just one. There. Now, Mr. Naruto, at first I thought you were just dumb, but then Sasaki also drinks tea the wrong way. Brother.
Can we get some bros in the chat?
Can I'm just so disgusted with both of you. You're both Japanese men. You're supposed to be men of culture, but it appears that I have assumed too much.
My future husband will not have stooped to such lows in this life.
Drink tea while it's cold.
It appears that Asungi was truly the last great Japanese man to die.
Oh my god.
Alright. I was pouring it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies. He keeps talking.
At the time, you were both completely fine.
As shown by the fact that Mr. Shakespeare engaged in Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be on how the poison was taken by the victim then.
That rotten Shakespeare! What have I ever done to him? You had a death battle, he lost.
You don't recall
Bro,
him taking any issue with you over anything you've done recently.
I've been holed up in my room immersed in books. I don't recall anything. Anything at all!
Right.
But I don't understand this. Why he didn't let me know sooner?
Let you know what, Mr. Natsume?
About the soap, of course. What else?
Oh dear. Are you struggling with such meager stipends?
Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have had to live in a cursed existence in such accursed lodgings.
Oh, yes, because you said it's a place that's cursed because it's so cheap, didn't you?
Exactly. Especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place and is trying to kill me!
Capital offender?
May I ask, local student Mr. Naruto Esquire, that the next time you visit me, do you bring scores of super soft soaps?
Well, first, let us show off that picture that we got. No, wait, wrong one! That one.
What's this?
It's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shakespeare's room.
So he knew, did he?
Sorry?
About this man, Selden. A convicted killer, and the evil spirit behind the curse that inflicts my lodgings.
What?
He's already taking one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another, a miserable, mustache, much mangled Japanese man.
Miss Satsumi, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you know about this evil spirit.
The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now. And at the time, he was hiding out lodgings at Mr. Garandup's house.
What? He lived where you do now?
That's right, yes, exactly where I live now, in my very room.
Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of capital offense?
But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that's when it started. The curse.
What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume?
It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed, a man died in the room. The man who rented it at the Selden, in fact. The poor lodger, he was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside.
Locked from the inside? Exactly like the case we're dealing with now. So, that's the convict's curse, is it?
Yes, well, that was the start of it.
Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away, Mr. Natsume?
The official cause of death was asphyxia.
Asphyxia.
When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas.
Gas?
I only found it out after I signed the lease. When Mr. Garandup came to tell me later, I could have stopped myself trembling. In fact, if I had known beforehand, I'd probably have been too scared to take the room. Landlords, lease, luckily, legal.
YMCA. Luckily for Miss Garandub, maybe, but not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is afflicting you?
It is! At first, I just felt as though I was being watched. All the time.
But then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you?
The dead are trying to take me with them. They come for me and try to suffocate me. Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up. And the room, it was cold as ice!
But why is your room so cold?
London winters are too cold to bear without any heating on overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed at night, the pilot light always goes out and the room fills with gas.
But that's terrible. That's exactly the same situation what led to the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shakespeare last night, when he mysteriously was poisoned. There's clearly more that incident can be explained by the curse, though.
Whatever is the cause of all these strange happenings happening in Mr. Garadeb's rooms.
Alright, so now Alright, so I think we gotta go talk to him.
Yeah, I think we can now go talk to him. He should be in his room now. Yeah! Ah, you're here now, Mr. Garadeb. Right, bail. This isn't for me, you know, getting out loud and about. You were at the Old Paley by any chance? Naturally, fate of my lodgings, anchored in the balance and all that, not a trial to miss. And the fates of what already dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes. Of course, the place has been quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already.
Imagine this whole case from his perspective. The past few days with this man has just been.
I lost my
like,
wife,
God
I'm
forbid.
about to lose my business, I'm about to lose everything now! I see old lodging houses or some such. Yeah, you can keep going, Jason.
No, I'm just. It's like, man. Everything was going fine until that Saseki got shot.
My day be fine, and then boom, Japanese.
Oh god damn.
I got Japan.
Well, at least he knows. Makes you wonder what the places is going on, don't you know? Oh, hi, Schultz. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm sure he does. All right, you're still here.
In fact, thinking back at Mr. Natsume's other trial just 2 days ago. You were at the Old Bailey then as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened.
Yeah, let's bring back that old memory.
Stopped off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business. I see. Put my cup on my imaginary stool over there. So, what brings you to my haunted abode today, eh?
Wait, hang on. Can we examine the background real quick? I want to see if he's there.
But what do you want me to
I don't
examine?
think he is.
No, I think I see a Sherlock is there in the background.
Nope. No, he's not.
No.
Look at this photograph.
Mr. Garrett, could I ask you to look at this photograph?
You can? Will I? No.
Is that your son with you there? No, not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name. Duncan Ross? A street photographer happened to be passing by, so I asked him to take a shot, just for kicks, really.
There's no pun in his name.
There is actually a meaning to it, but it's much later.
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Was he by any chance the lodger before Mr. Natsume?
Yes, that's right.
Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say.
Yes, young Duncan lived in the room on top of the first flight of stairs before the Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a bit more about him? Yes, Duncan Ross. Young chap was attending art school. Had to pay for work to pay for it, mind. Moved into the middle floor about a year ago after the crime settled and was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. A history for cheap rent, maybe, yes. Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. Hadn't quite worked up the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers were up to at 9. So sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what happened. Smell of gas alerted me it was.
Ah, yes. Synonymous with the smell of death.
Called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked down the door off its hinges. But once we got inside, we all barely collapsed. Because of the gas? Yes, the room was full of it, no air at all. Stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death. Of course, the police gave me a sound ticking off because of the pipes were old and all that. Can't tell you how much it sent me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. But even after you did all that work, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. That the stove goes off every night while he sleeps in bed. Well, it's the Bailey curse, the convict's curse. I've done my duty as a landlord now. Someone's feeling defensive. Some fishy fella from the Far East and a failed actor chap of quite questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to be something of a magnet for rum fellas as of late. Thanks to that Bailey curse. Convict's curse, you mean? Ah, you've heard the stories, have you? One scoundrel was arrested here, and then the next chap that goes in the room keels over. Then there was a woman who dropped off dead just outside the street, not to mention the actor yesterday. And my next day? Well, can't help but get collywubs, can't you?
When you say that woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green?
Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shamespeare, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still. Yes, well, so's that blessed convict's curse, it seems.
Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, a fascinating history. Why, it sounds like the lap of luxury.
I'm not sure about that.
I like how they haven't questioned that he's there.
Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either. But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamp there. Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things, in case there's any mishaps or such like.
I think you had your mishaps already, sir.
That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes.
Heaven forgive me. The words just came to my lips.
Some fishy fellow from the far... wait, what? So deep for that, Mr. Garradub.
That's right. Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy.
He is undeniably peculiar, however.
Yeah. Is it right that he looked for a vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away? Yes, that's right. I asked for the estate to go and find someone, and he popped off the very next day. Never came across as a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were. I don't think there was a room's background he was keen on so much as the cheap rent, actually.
So, how long has Mr. Shamespeare been lodging under your roof?
That failed actor chap? Let me see. Oh, of course. Yes, it's been about 3 months now. Quite sure of it. Only 3 months? He's quite new here then, too.
And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Garradub, if I may ask?
Well, it was a Selden scoundrel, as it happens. Selden? The convict, you mean? So do Selden and Shamespeare have some kind of connection, then? That convict chap, Selden, passed away in the clink about 3 months ago, you see. Some milady or whatever.
Yes, we seen the report on newspaper at the time.
Well, it was only 3 days after that tragedy showed his face. The actor fellow. Really? Yes, I remember it quite distinctly.
'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Prince landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shamespeare, to desire to take thy room on the middle floor, offer crew like.
Terribly sorry and whatnot, but that won't be possible. Already had a lodger on the middle floor. Ground floor is vacant, though.
Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat my will unto thee.
No curls under your muffling ears. The room on the middle floor's taken. It's the ground floor, nothing.
Very well. We have an accord.
That's glad to hear. Welcome to Brooklyn.
Lord Shakespeare does to celebrate.
Not in my living room.
Please. From what I heard in the court today, sounds like the chap was some thieving gas. And he was 3 months there with Red too. Yes, a bit. Fellow was a barley player, alright.
Thank you for your candor, Mr. Garadem. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal lodgings in me.
That face.
What's happened to you?
Shakespeare, my dear fellow, one of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own learning of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know.
Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines then?
Boo. Boo.
Ah, that reminds me actually. Yes? That young Duncan, the night before the old chap perished. You've been writing a letter of affection to a young lady.
A love letter, you mean?
Yes, where did I put it now? Ah, here it is! Left it on my desk.
If you excuse me, let me see now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart.
Do you think you should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence?
My dear Mrs. Otto, this is precisely why I preface my readings with, if you excuse me.
I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes. No.
Oh, alright. Sadly, he didn't address it though, so I have no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really. I see, that's gonna play on my mind.
But really, the identity of Miss Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on this case. I think we just leave well alone.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing. However, there is a name, there's a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart.
Mr. Sholmes, please. I already had chats with you about this once.
My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Olive Green.
Ah!
The Olive Green? The woman who was plunged into a coma after the night plunged her into the back outside of here 5 days ago? The victim of the last case sucks.
It's mere coincidence? Whatever can this mean? Holy shit.
Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Mr. Otto.
We're not done here. You're lucky I'm a fan.
Oh, you gonna get a move on?
Alright, well, if we're done here, get out of my house.
Please, I hope to never see you
messed up
again.
enough.
You all ruined my life.
Mr. Naruhodo, I just finished speaking with the doctor. You see that Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last.
This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves.
Ah!
What is it? Miss Green!
Huh? Oh!
What was that? She clearly hit something behind her back.
Oh, one moment. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh, hello everyone. What are you all doing here? The doctor said I can't be charged, so I'm just getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Oh, nothing, really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed me, that's all.
Well, you were hoping to have a quick chat with you, if that's alright.
I really don't have anything else to tell you.
Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can coax something out of her. Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross. You knew him, didn't you?
Ah!
Oh my gosh, she's drinking Danganronpa blood!
Oh,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The bottle of medicine fell out when she did.
Miss Green, are you alright? I'm back.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you like that.
No, it's alright. I wasn't expecting it. But how do you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter to you. I was at the art school.
God damn it, it's happening again. Fucking go away, you stupid
No.
bots. Ah. Go away.
I hate you so much.
God. Ugh.
He was working to fund his studies, the dream of becoming a professional artist one day. And the two of you have been romantically involved? Yes, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually. That's why he decided to move into a cheapo room to save money for the wedding.
And that's what led to him to Mr. Gyarados.
Yes, he told me he found the worst but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened. We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green. She looks desperately sad.
I'm starting to think that it was just her look. Now I see that she's every reason to feel the universe is against her. The bottle fell over before when Miss Green collapsed. That was quite an earthquake.
Whatever's in that bottle.
Honey, maybe? Or treacle? Or syrup? Or all three mixed together, even?
Mr. Naruhodo, you're having a very lot of mean thoughts during this exchange. I'm disappointed in you.
Sorry.
Damn.
But there was no achievement for that.
Oh,
before it's knocked over. Okay.
That's how they get you.
This kind Miss Green was looking at inherently before, isn't it?
Mr. Naruhodo, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects.
Right, I should save the peeking for a gentleman's effects only.
You mustn't do that either.
And maybe you, Miss Susato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either, hmm?
Yeah, Miss Green?
It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green.
Oh yes, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So, I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably should be standing around and chat.
She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure.
I do hope won't be a little rude, but... Would you mind leaving me at peace now? I have to leave the hospital soon.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to hold you up. Of course, we'll be on our way.
Mr. Naruhodo, surely you were not about to leave. That's cool. That's quite out of the question.
Mr. Sholmes, I didn't realize you were here.
Neither did I. But of course I was, my dear fellow. Watching intently for the shadows, as always.
Well, make your presence known next time.
Mr. Sholmes, what's this about?
Something which occurs to me with such regularity, Mrs. is this.
Why do feet smell when they do not have a nose? It makes no sense.
I can't sleep, Daddy. I've been thinking. I can't have feet smell. They don't have a nose. When you close the door, does the little light stay on? Hello, light.
Hello, light.
Hello, light. Hello, light. Legit, when Eddie said that for the first time, I was like, actually, wait a minute. I remember as a kid going to check for myself. I was like, wait a minute. Hang on. Is he on to something? Such a kid question. When you close the door, does the little light stay on? Hello, light. Okay. Why the detective insist on such an ex post facto, but ex post facto modus operandi? Why solve a case that why solve a case after it happened instead of preventing a case before it happened? That is what sets a great detective apart.
What do you mean?
There is a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. So let's avert disaster. Let's prevent this case from ever happening. For nothing but careful observation.
Alright.
All the clues you need are set before us. All you need only look, and you cannot fail to see.
You can do it, Mr. Naruhodo. I know you can. I'm just here.
No! No! Master Splinter!
It happens in every TMNT timeline.
Yeah.
The rats gotta go.
No!
Master Splinter seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it before it hit you.
Oh.
I think perhaps it drank the medicine and spilled out in the bottle.
No. Blast screen. Moment of silence.
That's the bottle that Miss Q was about to drink from when we arrived. Herlock, what are you doing?
You don't think...
I see you come to appreciate the true nature of it. That of tragedy about to take place.
Yes, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of the poison of the bottle you had before it spilled out on the floor, and the poor mouse that drank it has sadly died.
Ah,
I think it's clear what that bottle contained, a powerful poison.
don't worry. I will attend to the mouse presently.
Master Splinter. Miss Green,
And also Master Splinter.
were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life?
Once we left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And taken the poison?
No! Miss Green, please talk to us.
Ten seconds later, if you would have arrived at a very different scene. In all probability, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green.
Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted.
Tell me, how'd you acquire that medicine?
Well, with this being a hospital and all, when the doctors come to examine me in the morning, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while. So I snuck in and out when he wasn't looking.
It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains.
I'm afraid I don't really know. But I thought, if I drank it, it just might stop the pain somehow. Oh, please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things.
Oh, it seems clear that it contains poison.
Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh no. No, it's my fault. What have I done?
I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection?
No, none.
There anything else? It definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing there with her in hands to describe a very tense atmosphere.
Yes. It may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believed about what to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it. Neither the sender's name or address appears to have written in the envelope or the card. It arrived by post in my home that day before the incident to put me in the hospital here.
I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road, 5 p.m. on the 7th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of the utmost importance. Wait a minute. The 17th of this month? That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road!
And 5 p.m.
It's precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug is Salad, yes. A pub on the northern corner of Briar Road.
Briar Road being the street that Mr. Carradim's house is on.
Does that mean this? Yes, I'm sure you guessed that day. When I was stuck in the back by the knife. I was actually on my way to the Slug and Salad. Goodness.
So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day.
I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything.
Yes, I'm very sorry to drag up such painful memories for you.
No, it's fine. Miss Green. Please, promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's just how it all made me feel.
If leaving Miss Green and Southborough behind. We made our way back to Baker Street and Miss Sholmes.
Okay, yeah, so I think now you are at the end of the second investigation.
Yeah, I would figure we were wrapping up at this point.
Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trial for today. As he says so right there.
Yes, it's late.
And Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think?
Details about Mr. Shakespeare, Mr. Garadeb's lodgings, the convict, Sheldon. There are many facets to this case, and we're still yet to see the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway.
I can't help but wonder about the results of the analysis.
Into Mr. Natsume's tea, you mean?
Yes. Will they have found the strychnine in it or not?
Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper.
Oh dear.
Yes, Barak von Zeeks.
But I wish you every success, of course. And though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial.
Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come?
Indeed. Whatever happens, I shall be there. This will be my eyelids cooperate in the morning.
Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end! London, the world's most preposterous city, home to some 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down the back alleys, and behind the bricked-up windows is a lonely clerk. Seki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here. So I felt honor-bound to equally battle hard for my compatriot, to lift that curse that gripped him. As Mr. Sholmes says, tomorrow would be a new dawn for all of us. There it is! Alright.
Nice.
So, yeah, I am very curious on getting this case linked up to case 4 now, at this point, since the two are absolutely tied to each other now.
I would say, going through this case again, does make me feel better about it now.
Like, I've been enjoying this one so far quite a bit, honestly,
going through this with you has definitely brightened my view on on this case, because my initial thoughts after were kind of low, but the second playthrough so far has changed my mind on it.
Like, in general, I've been noticing a lot of there's been a lot of subtle improvements, but like they're kind of adding up throughout for me. Like, I think a lot of my problems with Holmes are kind of not here in this case. I think just Holmes has been a lot more generally likable, and I feel like, you know, has had a lot more smart moments to offset his goofiness kind of deal, so like I actually believe him when he's a detective this time kind of deal. I think Logic Theater has a lot to do with that as well, since I feel like it's naturally structured to where he's really close, but it's just not quite there. And where in the first game he was just completely off the mark entirely, sort of deal. Also, having the game back to the 2-day structure, I think helps a lot in terms of pacing as well. So, yeah, this is apparently the low point of the game is case 2. I'm excited to see where we're going for the rest of it at this point, so. Yeah, so we will be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock as per usual to do, the trial, so, yeah.
And hopefully finish up case 2.
Yeah, I think we will finish it up, for sure, but, yeah, have a good night, everyone!